welcome Black family. See how much I can move with that mic. You know I got ADHD, I move a little bit. How's everybody doing? Kansas City, y'all all right? All right. I think we good there. Test, 1, 2. That's clear out there? All right. Well, first let me say I want to thank you guys for coming out, especially given the weather. You know, that's been the topic on the news all day, every day. I want to go ahead and get into my message. And again, it's been 3 years since the last time I've been on the Kansas City, Missouri side. So a lot has happened in the past couple of years. I'll try to touch on some of it, but I want to begin by addressing our parents, our mothers, our fathers, but all of you. Because in the African context, all of us are parents. All children belong to the village and do not belong to the individual parents. So for those parents who think that this is my child, that is not your child. It only came through you, but it does not belong to you. It belongs to the community. You are only a portal and a vessel. You are not an owner. Okay, so it's important that we make that clear, because when we deal with children, we like to get very private when it comes to our children. But the truth of the matter is, if we don't raise them together, then they never grow up with a collective consciousness. And if black children don't grow up with a collective consciousness, it will be difficult for them to work together. So it's important that we do everything that we do as a oneness. And I know that becomes difficult for us as black people because we've been taught, indoctrinated, and socialized to work against our own best interests. And that's why we're always in last place, okay? Chinese do better than us because Chinese work together. Arabs do better than us because Arabs work together. European Jews, Anglo-Saxons, East Indians, you name it. Every group is doing better than black folks because we fail to recognize that our progress is a collective effort. All progress is a collective effort. But we suffer from a disease I call radical individualism. Black people believe in radical individualism. In other words, the decisions you make every day, short-term and long-term, are only based on whether or not they're good for you, not whether or not they're good for the community. When I talk to brothers who marry white women, you know, they always say, Doc, you know, I love her, or I fell in love with her, or whatever the case may be. How can you fault me for that? Well, brother, I'm a nationalist. I'm not an individualist. I'm a nationalist. I'm not an integrationist. I'm a nationalist. I'm not an accommodationist. So when you are a nationalist, all decisions are made from the perspective of what is in the best interest of all of black Kansas City, Missouri. Not just some, not just the bourgeois, not just the Masons, not just the light skin, not just the dark skin, not just the Muslims, not just the Christians, but what is in the best interest of the African family of Kansas City, Missouri. So anything you throw out to me, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, how does this benefit us over the long term? Any question brought before me, I'm going to ask you that. You have a white wife. How does you being married to a white woman benefit black people in Kansas City over the long term? Where's the benefit? Love ain't got nothing to do with it. We dealing with practical, pragmatic applications and solutions. How does having a cracker as your wife benefit black Kansas City? No, I'm being serious about this. We got to talk about it. Because black men marry outside their race more than all other men put together in America as a percentage. So we got to talk about this. What is it about the black man that has him more predisposed to date outside of his race than any other man in America? And can we conclude that it is purely an accident of romance? It's not an accident of romance. I know why black men marry white women, because you wish you was a white man. Any black man with a white woman has an inferiority complex. And if she's better than the black woman, by contraindication, the white man is better than you, inferiority complex. I'm not dismissing a white woman. I don't intend to disrespect her. I have 2 daughters, and I would hope she wouldn't intend to disrespect my princesses. But I'm dealing with the political application of feasible solutions for black folks, and that's not a solution. Marriage is a what? Economic arrangement. Marriage is about finances. If you don't believe me, go to any divorce court. What they divide up in divorce court, ain't they dividing up love? When you go get a divorce, do you ask for 50% of your love back? I want 40% of my sex back. Or you divide emotions and attachments, you divide assets. And if women live longer than men, and they do, on average, your wife will outlive you, brother, whether she's black or white, on average. So if women live longer than men, when we leave the earth, gentlemen, that means what? Our estate, our wealth, our savings, our retirement goes to another people who have already taken enough from us and don't need to take any more. That's why interracial marriage is betrayal. Because you're supposed to be investing in your race, not someone else's. And if you truly understand white supremacy, you would understand whether the white woman has an emotional connection to you or not, she still considers you to be her inferior. And while we at it, let's get into the rules of racism, because Kansas City, y'all don't understand the rules of racism. Y'all here in the Dust Bowl, I know y'all don't understand the rules of racism. Dang, where the sun at? The first rule of racism, Missouri, first rule of racism. If you don't understand this one, you won't understand any of the others that come. The first rule of racism is that all white people are racist. I'm gonna say it again. All white people are racist, every last one. That's your coworker, your best friend, your next door neighbor, your pastor, your white wife, your white boyfriend, your white mother-in-law. All white people are racist. No exceptions. Every white baby born will be a racist. No exceptions. Now let me tell you why you don't understand that. You don't understand that because you equate racism with racial hatred. You don't understand that because when I say all white people are racist, you assume that that means all white people hate black people. I don't think all white people hate black people, but I know all white people are racist. Your problem is you equate racism with emotion. Y'all need to stop that. Racism has nothing to do with hating you. Racism has nothing to do with feeling superior to black folks. Racism is about making sure you control the wealth, the political leverage, the economic outcomes, and the opportunities. Emotion ain't got nothing to do with it. White people can love you and still practice racism. A white person can be your best friend and still systematically disadvantage your opportunities in life. Why? Because they live by a code and you don't. White people live by a code. Chinese live by a code. It is unwritten and unspoken that you will always protect the best interests of this culture. That's right. I'll give you a little story. Black girl I knew, sister. She had a white best friend, female. They went to high school together, grew up together, birthday parties together. Mothers were good friends. They got married together in the Caribbean islands. Husbands know each other. Children play together. They both graduated from the same undergraduate institution. But the black girl, his sister, went back and got her master's degree. They were working at the same job. She was moving a little quicker than the white girl up the educational ladder. Well, a supervisory opportunity became available at the job. The white best friend knew about it. Instead of telling her black best friend that there's an opportunity for you to become a manager, she kept her mouth shut and found a white person who she did not even know. Now, this is her black best friend, knew her since she was 5. But she didn't tell her about the job opportunity, the managerial post. Instead, she went and got a white person she didn't even know and saw to it that she got the job. Why did she do that? The sister asked me, Dr. Umar, I know that girl loved me. We friends together. She's bailed me out of financial difficulties. I bailed her out. We've shared cries together. I know that my white best friend cares about me. I said, sister, she probably do. But what you fail to realize, she has an obligation to her race to make sure they stay in control of our race. And despite your personal relationship, she has a political obligation to make sure white folks get all the managerial jobs. Your problem is you're confusing personal relationships with business. And that's what's wrong with half of y'all in Kansas City. You confusing your personal relationship with Europeans with the business of white privilege and racism. And you better wake up and understand the difference. Some of the best races love you the most. They come amongst you, eat your fried chicken and everything, and take their racist asses right back home to the suburbs and talk about you. If half of you knew what your white friends had to say about you behind your back, you would cry right now. What's the second rule of racism? The second rule of racism is the outgrowth of the first. White people don't share power with black people. White people don't share power with black people. Now, some of y'all right now are having a religious heart attack because this flies in the face of everything you've been taught today at church. And I'm going to get to that in a minute too, because the pastor has not been on his job. So I'm going to deal with him. I'm going to deal with Reverend Chicken Wing and Deacon Pork Chop and Bishop Watermelon. We're going to talk about them too today. Now, I ain't got nothing against the black church. All of our struggle comes from the black church. We wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for the black pastor. But I'm talking about the old school pastor, and you got this new jack pastor. See, we didn't get out of slavery except for the black church. We didn't get the Civil Rights Bill except for the black church. We didn't get the Voting Rights Act except for the black church. There was no end to Jim Crow except for the black church. But that was in the 60s. Look at you now. The black church that went from being an agitation organization. They used to fight for rights, bang down the doors of the government. Agitation. How did we go from agitation to accommodation? We don't want to fight racism no more. We want to build a relationship with it. I'm having tea with the governor. Me and the mayor are going to shoot some golf and talk about jobs for black people. Negro, you's a sellout. Shoot no damn golf with your oppressor. He need to golf your ass off the court. I'm going to get back to him. Because that black church plays a critical role in where we are, y'all. That black church plays a critical role in where we are. See, the black church got shut up and sat down under President George W. Bush. When President George W. Bush was elected in 2000, he pulled a Machiavellian scheme on the black community. He invented something called faith-based initiative. This is what I call FBI Part 2. Faith-based initiative. It's the new FBI. And what Bush did was he found a way to give black churches government funding. Despite the Constitution's demand for separation of church and state, George W. Bush found a way to pay off pastors with government checks. And ever since they've been bought the black church has been missing in action from every major struggle you've been going through this century. Where has the black churches in Kansas City been on police genocide? Where has the black churches in Kansas City been on mass incarceration? Where has the black churches in Kansas City been on the underemployment of black youth, black men, and black women? Where has the black church been in Kansas City on the miseducation machine inside of our public schools? Have you noticed they are nowhere to be found when it comes to none of the major issues? That didn't just start today. That goes back to the 21st century, 17 years ago. They're now being paid to shut up. How are you going to claim to be doing God's work being financed by the devil's workers? But I'm going to come back to that. So let me go back to my second point. White people don't share power with black folks. Some of you want to say, that's very general, Dr. Johnson. Well, I'm going to ask you to give me proof. In world history, anywhere on earth, I'm challenging you. Give me proof, anywhere on earth, anytime in history, of white people sharing political or economic power with blacks. Can you name a country? Can you name a state? Can you name a time period? White folks don't share power with blacks. So when you hear people tell you that they're building a new Kansas City, we're building a new Kansas City where all the cultures can intermingle. I'll start dancing and shit, everybody. Because you love integration. You ever see a black person when a white person move next door, or a Chinese move next door, they get an Arab on the block, y'all go crazy. Oh my God, I'm not alone. You don't want to see nothing all black. Your whole culture is based on you getting away from black folks. What's the first thing you do when you get a master's degree? Straight out of graduate school, you ain't even got a job. You reward yourself with a home in a white suburb. That's what you Negroes do. Black brothers, you reward yourself with a woman who don't look like your mother. That's the first thing you do. Running away from the race. Don't you realize you can't run away from your Africanity? It's fixed by God.
In fact, it's the only thing you belong to that's fixed by God. God made you African, you made yourself everything else.
Yeah, that's right.
I know Christ is there to your heart, but you can stop being Christian tomorrow. You can never stop being African.
That's right, brother.
I know you took your Shahada, Salam Alaikum, and Islam is sincerely a part of your reality. But you can quit the mosque tomorrow, but you African till you die.
That's right.
Black women, how many times you tried to cook out that African genotype from that scalp? And it just keep on coming back every 2 weeks. Damn! More peas in the kitchen! Can't get rid of Mama Africa, she will find your ass. So all white people are racist. White people don't share power with blacks. And what's the third rule of white supremacy? The third rule of white supremacy is the ends justify the means. What do I mean by that? I mean that white supremacy is ruthless. I mean that white supremacy is ruthless. Do you know what that means? That means that we got to kill your kids. And we got to poison your water. Oh yes. If we have to force you to take immunizations that we know cause autism. Whatever we got to do to get rid of black folks, we can do it. You know, the last time I was in Kansas City, I was on the Kansas side 2 years ago, 2015. I wasn't on your side in 3 years, but 2 years. And when I got into town, brothers and sisters was hitting me up like, Doc, you might want to cancel your presentation. I said, why? They said, because the LBGTQI is coming for that ass. They said they're going to come and occupy your lecture and shut it down, and they got 50 million questions for you. I said, tell them all to come. So the word was out. Umar coming anyway. So I'm giving my lecture. Some of y'all was there, and they marched this. You saw they came in uniform, right? They came in uniform, LBGTQI. And they picked the dumbest representative of the whole damn room to stand up and debate me. She didn't know a damn thing. She said, you're a homophobic. So I said, really now, I'm a psychologist. I have a doctorate in clinical psychology. I'm school psychology certified. I have 2 master's degrees in the subject. Here's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disease. All disorders come out of this book, from depression to bipolar to schizophrenia to psychosis. Show me homophobic, because phobia is a fear. Show it. It's not in here. So how can it be legitimate? This is the book that the label come from. We got social phobias and all kind of phobias. Claustrophobias. We got negrophobia. Right? But they couldn't find me homophobia. You know why? Because it's not a psychological illness. It's something that the gay community made up to chastise and intimidate anybody who doesn't agree with same-sex relationships. Now let me say this because I want to be clear. I don't hate none of our LBGTQIs. Okay? I don't hate none of them. I love all black people. I ain't got nothing but love. I didn't come here to drop an ounce of hate. I came here to drop love. But I reserve the right as a nationalist. Someone who's interested in the best interests of my community. I reserve the right to criticize anything that I don't think is in our best interests. So remember, I opened up by saying I evaluate all things based on whether or not it benefits our people in the long run.
Yes, sir.
So I asked her. It's on YouTube. I asked her, can you give me one long-term benefit to our community if we allow the free expression and propagation of same-sex relationships? I've asked every homosexual and lesbian and transgender and bisexual I've ever met, can you give me a benefit? To date, I ain't got an answer yet. Because there is no benefit. And black women, y'all got to check yourselves. Because y'all the first one talking about it ain't enough black men out here that's good. We ain't got enough brothers, and you hanging with 12 homosexuals. You got peaches, turquoise, and lemonade. And you got a nerve talking about it ain't no good black men, and you hanging out with 30 gay ones. Shut your ass up. I don't want to hear another black woman talk about it ain't no good black men out here when you hanging out with homosexuals. You don't want your son to be gay, but it's okay to be having lemonade with peaches and turquoise. and hot apples. Listen, only 1 out of every 4 black women gets married in her lifetime. All the sisters in this room, those who are unmarried, only 1 out of 4 statistically. Black women have the lowest marriage rate in America. You're already low with the marriage. And now you're going to go and endorse a relationship that's going to cause your numbers to go even lower? I have 2 daughters. 2 daughters. What am I supposed to tell them when they're old enough to get married and can't find no good black men because they've been turned out by other black men? Huh? It ain't about no hate, it's about a political analysis. You gotta critically analyze everything white folks throw at you because confusion is the weapon of progress. And as long as they can keep black people confused, as long as they can keep you caught up in this and caught up in this, you'll never get back to what you're supposed to be fighting for. They got the whole black community divided over gay sex. This is crazy. I got peaches and hot apples follow me around the country, tweet memories. And I don't mean to poke fun because I'm a child therapist. I'm a child therapist. I've been doing it for over 20 years. And let me preface my next comment by saying I don't care what the white man's research has concluded. Because a lot of you Negroes are in love with white research. Every time I say something, can you show me the studies, brother? You Negroes is crazy. What's your source, brother? So some damn crackers at the University of Syracuse or the University of Penn or University of Missouri put some stuff together in a paper and call it empirical, so we're supposed to believe it's the truth. When you was in slavery, that's the same thing they did. The universities wrote research articles and said you came from monkeys. Was that the truth? No. They wrote articles that said the black man was a half monkey and a half man stuck in the middle. Was that true? So if you didn't listen to what the white study had to say 150 years ago, what you listening to it now for? White studies keep talking about people are born gay, ain't found a gene. But I tell you what I found in my 20 years of doing therapy, and I'll put it up against any study you find from the Europeans. 85% of the black boys I've worked with who were homosexual were molested by the age of 12 by male relatives in their own family. That's what I know. That's what I know. I ain't met a gay black male yet who I couldn't trace his homosexual tendencies to molestation or emotional castration by mother or father. What do I mean by that? I mean, mothers, y'all gotta be careful about how you talk to your son, because you can damage his view of his own manhood. And then the damn Hotepers and the homosexuals took a clip of mine out of context and said, Dr. Umar said black mothers turn their sons gay. That ain't exactly what I said. The father can turn them gay too, but when you make a boy feel like he can't be a man, he'll look for another man for shelter instead of being that shelter for a woman. I know myself. Some of you in here was Obama maniacs 8 years ago. Don't hide now, baby. Where are you Obama-loving Negroes at? Y'all was in love with that damn man. Don't lie now. Everybody quiet. You weren't quiet 8 years ago. You wasn't quiet 4 years ago. Negroes told me to leave Obama alone. They said his second term, he gonna put on a black suit and start helping black folks. Remember that? Wow. They said the first term, he just trying to figure it out. He the spook who sat by the door. You need to give him some time, Dr. Johnson. You too critical. How much, when he do his second term, he ain't gonna have nothing to lose. And that's when you gonna see him start doing stuff for black folks. What happened? I've been waiting. What happened? Black people's problem with politics is you feel like you gotta be in love with a politician in order to vote for him. That's your problem. You approach your politics the same way you approach your religion. If you don't have an emotional connection to the candidate, you don't vote. So anybody who plays with your damn emotions gets your vote. What has the Democratic Party done for black Kansas City, Missouri? What has the local Democratic Party of this city done for us? Nothing. But I bet you 99% of you will vote Democrat just because you was told to. By who? The black bourgeoisie of Kansas City, Missouri. And let's talk about them while we at it. Who is the bourgeoisie? First of all, you can't control black people without a black bourgeoisie. You cannot control black people. Wherever there's black folks, there's a Negro Illuminati clique. Oh, y'all thought some of y'all might be in here, and I can give a damn. Because I'm unapologetically African. I ain't come to be your friend. I came to wake your sleeping ass up. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. The black God, the black Holy Ghost. Not no damn white Holy Ghost. And some of you black folks still praying to a white Jesus. Who in here still got a white Jesus hanging up? Don't you lie. I know because I do therapy in the homes, and when I go to the homes and sit down with the children and do therapy, I always do an assessment, a white Jesus assessment. In half the houses I go, and I still find white Jesus on the wall in 2017. And then some of you Negroes try to get slick, and you go down and go and get you a tan Jesus. You ever see that one? Long eyelashes, red lipstick, no shirt on. Looking like Lionel Richie out this morning. So you got two Jesuses. You got Jesus Christ and you got Jesus Cracker. Damn, but anyway, you got Jesus Christ and you got Jesus Cracker. Which one y'all been praying to, Kansas? Let me help you out. Jesus Christ was a blue, black, purple man born in the cave in Ethiopia. Right. Jesus Cracker was born in a manger in Bethlehem. Jesus Christ came from the blue, black people, the tribe of Judah. Purple, Jesus Cracker came from another tribe that they say had blue eyes and blonde hair. Jesus Christ had feet like burned brass and hair like lamb's wool. Jesus Cracker looked like Michael Bolton at the Grammys. And then black folks got a nerve to say God don't answer their prayers. You ain't praying to God. You praying to Willie Lynch. How are you going to pray to the God of your oppressor and look for a result? If you can't find divinity in blackness, you can't find it nowhere else. That's right. We got to get it together, y'all, because we're running out of time. They try to make us a permanent underclass on the road to extermination. A permanent underclass on the road to extermination. And stop picking on these brothers on the corner. They selling drugs, they selling weed. It ain't right, we know that. But the question is, why are they doing it? Yeah. Go back in American history. 80 years ago, who was selling the dope, running the guns? Jews, Irish, Italians were the gangbangers. Lucky Luciano wasn't no Negro. Al Capone wasn't black. Meyer Lansky wasn't from your neighborhood. They were Southern European immigrants. And why did they sell dope? Why did they run liquor? Why did they trade guns? Why did they kill each other in the streets? Because the United States government said they wasn't white folks. Jews, Irish, and Italians didn't become white until 1940. Jews, Irish, and Italians did not be considered white until 1940. You don't believe me? Check the research. Anything you hear me say today, go to the library tomorrow. It's all in there. They called them guineas. You know why they called them guineas? Because they came from Southern Europe, and everybody knew that the Africans from Africa had went into Southern Europe and civilized them. That's why Italians are darker than other Europeans. Irish can be darker. There's a whole community of black Irish in Ireland. But the white man decided to do what? Upgrade them to white status, and when he did that, what did he do in Kansas City? Let me tell you what he did. He gave the Italians, the unemployed, gang-banging, drug-selling Italians, he gave them the police department. And the Italians, he gave them the fire department. And the European Jews, he gave them the downtown civil service jobs in your city that they still run to this day. All our young men are doing is picking up the crime that white folks dropped off. Listen, the mother of all violence is miseducation. The father of all violence is economic castration. I got 6 degrees, I've never been to jail, but you take from me my ability to feed my daughters, and I'll be forced to break the law too. And you good Miss Goody Two-Shoes. You up here with a good job and a nice little house, and you want to look down on people who ain't as fortunate as you. And then some of you Negroes got the nerve to drive around Kansas City and say, I made it, so can they. Bull crap! White supremacy is designed to let some of us through. They gotta let some of us through so they can justify why the rest didn't make it. When I was going through school, they pushed me through because my daddy was in the Marine Corps. They pushed me through because my mama and my daddy was married. I lived in a two-parent household for some of my youth, so they knew they couldn't do to me what they did to some of my friends, but I saw what they did to my friends. Some of those young men are dead now, in jail now, still in the corner now. They were no less intelligent than me, but they stereotyped them and castigated them because they didn't have a black man that they liked to speak up for them. Criminals ain't born. Criminals are made. Any one of you Negroes right here start breaking the law tomorrow if they took everything else away from you except the opportunity to commit crime. And you want to point fingers at the corner boys? Damn the corner boys. You better point fingers at the corner pastors and find out why they're not building jobs for the corner boys. That's what you're supposed to be doing. Let's get back to the black bourgeoisie. 5 families in the black bourgeoisie. The first family is the higher education bourgeoisie of Kansas City, Missouri. These are Negroes who work for your community colleges. These are Negroes who work for your public school district. These are Negroes who are in any educational capacity whatsoever in this city. And instead of fighting for better schools, instead of fighting for more educational opportunities, you know what they do? They defend the system. They defend the system and try to explain low test scores in Kansas City, and explain dropout in Kansas City, and explain a low graduation rate in Kansas City by blaming it on the single parent black mothers. They blame it on the fact that you had babies too young. Or they blame it on the fact that you wasn't married. Or they blame it on the fact that his daddy's in jail. That ain't got a damn thing to do with it. You talking to a principal and a school psychologist, and I'm telling you right here and right now, our boys are failed because the system is designed to produce failure.
Yes, sir.
And do you want to know why? Why is the public school in Kansas City never going to educate your boys? Why? Because the most revolutionary thing you can do in Missouri is properly educate a black male child. That's the most revolutionary thing you can do. If you properly educate a black male child, you set him up as a rival to the white male for political, economic control of this city. They will never teach your son how to take the place of their son.
That's right.
If 93% of all teachers in America are middle-class racist white women, 93% of the teachers in America are middle-class white racist women, 93% of the teachers in America are middle-class white racist women, I work with them every day. They don't give a damn about your kids. They smile in your face, and the minute you leave, they talk about them like garbage. Are there some exceptions to the rule? Yes. I know some damn good black male teachers. Excuse me, some very good white teachers. I know some excellent white teachers. But guess what else I know? I know most of them ain't so excellent. And I know most of them are only in the ghettos of Kansas City teaching for 2 reasons. They couldn't get a job in the suburbs is the first. And the second reason, they got a President Obama student loan forgiveness contract that say if they can teach the poor jungle bunnies for 5 years, if you come and teach the poor jungle bunnies for 5 years, we will pay off your student loans. So the first year they in the ghetto, 20% of their loans is paid off. Second year in the ghetto, 20 more percent. Third year in the ghetto, 60% paid off. 4 years is 80. Have you noticed how all the good white teachers, the so-called good white teachers, disappear after 5